If there's one thing that sales professionals don't spend enough time on, it's understanding email marketing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shawn, I'm in sales, I don't market. Okay, that's fair. But do you send emails to prospects? Yeah. And are you hopeful, and do you use those emails to try and get meetings, to try and get calls, to follow up on open proposals? Yeah. So isn't it important that you understand the strategies that marketing would use to ensure that people, A, open your email, and B, respond to your email, right? That's the whole goal. So what I want to talk to you today about is writing an email subject line that actually gets attention. That's a key strategy, whether you're new to sales or you've been around a while. And in fact, if you've been around a while, this is going to be even harder because you're going to have to change some habits that you formed over the years. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore. I help you learn how to be a top performing sales professional so you can earn more in less time, which is one of the objectives of working in sales, right? You have freedom and control of your future. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you click the subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time we release a new video. And if you have comments or questions, make sure you comment below. I do my best to respond to every single one of them. As long as they seem to need a response, then I respond. Let's get into it. There's different kinds of email subject lines, and my goal in this video is just to give you a few strategies that you can test and apply, and therein lies one of the first things I want to mention to you. When it comes to emails and email subjects, you've got to do your own testing. You've probably heard about marketing talking about A/B testing. What they're really doing is taking the same topic or theme and just trying some different things in both regards to determine what works better. You need to do the same thing. So if you have an email that you send to somebody and it works, they respond quickly, ask yourself, was there something different about the title? Was there something different about the format, the structure of this email that maybe worked? And if you think there is, replicate it, try it again. When you do that, you land on what's working well with your prospects to get them to open and respond to your emails. So you kind of have to track your own best practices here by doing some testing yourself. So let's start there as a baseline. Now with that in place, step one when it comes to subject lines is brief is key. Brief is key. So when it comes to an email subject line that gets open, a lot of times one word actually gets open more so than a big long formal sentence. For example, let's say you've provided a proposal to a client and then they've fallen off the face of the earth. You've tried to reach them multiple times, nothing's worked. Send them an email with the title, Confused. Now, if you can track opens, I almost guarantee you, I'm not going to provide a guarantee, but I can almost guarantee you it'll get opened because people see that and think, confused? What do they mean confused? Are they confused? Am I confused? What's going on, right? That's what you want. Then they open the email. So sometimes one-word titles are all you need. So when it comes to email subject lines, make sure you focus on, can I create a one-word title here that's provocative, gets people thinking, and gets them to open the email? Now, I mentioned the one-word email title a minute ago, but here's something else to consider. I don't want you just to use one-word email titles. That wouldn't make sense. But here's a rule you can apply. Shorter is better. You see, when you think about how your emails land on your phone, most importantly, or maybe in your inbox on your computer, if you've got a reading panel off to the right, okay, or in your phone the screen's pretty small, you don't always get to see the full title. So you want to make sure you limit the number of characters in the title so it can be read. If you want to test this, send yourself an email with the title and make sure that you can view it. This is also why I'm not a fan of sending emails where you put somebody's name in the title. It's useless. It's wasting space. You have to think about that email subject title, which the variability of what screen, how it looks on different screens can change, right? So hence why I say test your own. But what I want you to consider is that's like prime real estate right there, that subject line. So we want to use it effectively, but what that means is we've got to be brief and to the point with that subject line. If it's wordy, if it's verbose, or if it's just too broad, right? People just tend to dismiss it because they can't read the whole thing in some cases, so it has no meaning to them, therefore they're not enticed to open it. The next strategy I want you to consider when it comes to email subject lines is to use question marks. Now, don't always use question marks, right? The goal in using emails that are effective, again, we've talked about making sure the subject line, you can try those one-word subject lines. The next strategy I want you to consider in your email subject line is asking questions. So rather than use the subject line to provide a summary or a title of whatever your email's about, ask your prospect a question. Is this of interest to you? Would you like to attend? Did you receive the proposal? right? Create a short question with a question mark behind and use that as your email subject title. Now, there should still be some content in the email, but the goal in that subject line, again, is to get them to click, open, and respond. And if you bury your question in the content, a lot of times it won't get read. They won't get that far because they won't open it. So try putting your brief question with question mark in the subject line, and you might find that that actually gets you the response you're looking for. Here's another strategy that I don't find a lot of people talk about, even in the marketing world. When it comes to email subject lines, you want to make sure that you write the subject line last. I'm going to say that again. You want to make sure you write the subject line last. Now you might be saying, well, Shawn, that doesn't make sense. I write left to right. I go top to bottom. That's fair. But if the subject line is the most important piece or component of your email, which if you haven't picked up on that so far, it is, what I want you to do is consider that, put that content together and then put your subject line, because you're going to be in a mind space after writing the content of the email as to what is the best question to ask here, or what is the question I'm looking for a response to, or what is that one word that's really going to drive home this message I'm seeking. You see, you want to make sure that that subject line aligns with the content, but is designed, as we've been talking about, in a way that gets your prospect or buyer to open the email. So try writing the subject line last. You might find it comes easier to you as to what is the best approach or strategy to use. This last tip for you is something I mentioned earlier, but it's important to bring it back up. When it comes to email marketing, obviously everybody viewing this video, you're selling different things in many cases, from widgets to insurance to software, you name it. So the people you're selling to, their titles, their roles, their positions, their authority can change. How you write an email to a CEO, for example, is different from how you write an email to an IT manager or a supervisor or an HR professional, right? There's different nuances in those individuals, in their skills, in their titles, in their priorities that you need to encapsulate in your emails. However, there's one common thing that you can do to ensure that you continue to have effective emails that get opened and responded to, and that is A/B testing. Now, I've referenced this before. You've probably heard of this in the marketing world, but it's as simple as this. If I'm sending an email to several people, all of a similar title, right, and it's a similar email, the content is similar, I want you to try different subject lines, right? Change them up. Use one word on one, use a short phrase on another, and maybe a question on the other, and see which one gets opened first, which one gets opened repeatedly, and which one gets the fastest response. In doing so, you're creating your own testing. And once you land on, wow, this question one really worked well, the next time you send that similar email to a prospect or a buyer, use the same title and see what happens. That's how we start to test our own best practices. You see, many of us look at email as just, I'm sending information your way. We don't put any real thought into the structure, particularly the subject line, which is the most important part. So you've got to be willing to do some of your own testing to identify what is the best subject line I can use here that gets the fastest response, gets me what I'm looking for, and then replicate that to validate. And now you're on to something, right? Now you've got your own best practice you can use repeatedly because you know it works. And when it stops working, it's time to go back to the drawing board and change things up again. You see, what people pay attention to changes over time, so we need to evolve and change ourselves. So A/B testing is key, or ABC testing, whatever you want to call it, is key to ensuring we always have effective subject lines that get opened and get responded to. Hope you enjoyed that video on email subject lines. There's lots of other videos that you can check out my YouTube channel. Make sure you do. If you have comments or questions, make sure you note them below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'm not really sure what you're waiting for. I mean, I could come through the camera and press it for you, but you wouldn't like that. So subscribe, please. I'd appreciate it.